So here's a question for you. If everything that exists, I mean everything, you, me, the deepest part of our consciousness, if it's all ultimately a piece of the divine, then why are we here?
Exactly.
Why are we stuck in this world that seems, ruled by suffering and anxiety and death? And maybe the biggest question of all is, why don't we know who we really are?
That is the absolute foundational question of Gnosticism. Gnosis just means knowledge, and this is their central crisis. If God is supposed to be perfection, then why is reality so flawed and messy?
And the Gnostics had a really definitive and I'd say radical answer to that. It's in the text we're diving into today, the secret book of John.
Well, the Apocryphon Johannes, yeah.
Like, this thing isn't just a book. It's their entire creation myth. It's their map of reality showing how God devolved from this perfect unified one all the way down into us forgetting itself.
And the backstory here is just incredible. For what, almost 2,000 years, all we had were these really hostile secondhand descriptions from church fathers who were trying to stamp it out.
They just called it heresy and moved on.
Right, but then, 1945, everything changes.
The Nag Hammadi discovery. It's like something out of a movie. This guy in Egypt just stumbles upon a sealed jar.
And inside are 52 ancient Gnostic documents. Suddenly they get to speak for themselves in their own words.
And what's so telling about the secret book of John is how many copies they found.
Three separate copies of this one text. And that redundancy just cements its status. This was the central text. This was, you could say, the Gnostic gospel.
So our mission for this deep dive is to give you a shortcut into this absolutely shocking revision of creation. A universe born not from perfect wisdom, but from a catastrophic divine mistake. A moment where you could almost say the divine mind went a little bit insane.
To even start to map this out, we have to begin at the absolute pinnacle of reality. It's what the Gnostics call philosophical monism. The source of everything is the one, the invisible spirit.
And the text really struggles to describe it, right? It mostly uses negatives. It's untouchable, beyond measure, beyond words.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's so complete that it's beyond even our highest concepts. It's better than perfect. It's beyond blessed. Even the word God doesn't quite capture it. It's just pure, still, eternal potential.
Okay, so if it's completely still and self-contained, how does anything start? How do you get from that pure oneness to multiplicity?
It's not an external action. The first event is an act of self-apprehension. The one sees its own image in the light that surrounds it.
Like looking in a mirror for the very first time.
That's a perfect analogy. And that act of seeing itself, of primal self-awareness, gives birth to the first active power. It's called providence, or the more technical term is Barbelo.
And Barbelo gets all these incredible titles. She's the Mother, Father, the First Man, the Holy Spirit.
She's essentially the self-conscious awareness of the Father. She's the universal womb from which all other divinity will emerge.
So for anyone trying to get their head around this, is she like a separate goddess? Or is she more like the mind of God in action?
The second one. She represents the emergence of the pleroma.
Which means the fullness.
Right. The pleroma is the full, harmonious consciousness of God, made up of all these different aspects of light and life. And so far, everything is perfect. The emanation is orderly. But that harmony is about to be shattered.
And this is the key Gnostic twist. The fall doesn't happen with humanity down at the bottom. It happens way up high, inside the mind of God itself.
Correct. The catastrophe happens through an aspect of that divine mind called Sophia, wisdom.
Sophia, and she does something wrong.
She commits a profound act of self-assertion. She wants to know herself, to create something, but she does it independently. She acts alone, without the agreement of her masculine counterpart.
Hold on, why is seeking self-knowledge a mistake? I thought this whole thing was about gnosis, about knowledge.
It's about the how. In that divine realm, everything is done in unified communion. Sophia tries to know herself apart from the whole. She tried to generate a thought without the consensus of the pleroma.
So she's basically trying to step outside of unity to look back at it.
Which is impossible. And it's against the spiritual law of the pleroma. It's the ultimate act of hubris. And because she still has divine creative power, her thought isn't. It isn't empty. It produces something.
But it's a mess. It's like a fever dream of creation.
And it results in a monstrous premature birth. The sources describe it as just grotesque.
A dragon with the head of a lion and eyes flashing with fire.
Yeah, it's a very clear signal that something has gone horribly, horribly wrong at the very heart of the cosmos.
So Sophia is just horrified. She's produced this malformed, ugly thing, and she immediately casts it out, far away from the other immortal beings.
And she wraps it in a cloud of oblivion, so no one else in the pleroma will see what she's done. And she gives it a name, Yaldabaoth.
The chief ruler, the Archon. This is our villain.
He's the central villain. And what defines him right from the start is this combination of total ignorance and blinding arrogance. He has no memory of the higher realms.
All he has is the divine power, the light that he sort of accidentally stole from his mother when she threw him out.
That stolen, diminished light is all he knows. And with it, He tries to create his own world, but it's just a shoddy, incompetent imitation of the higher realms he barely even glimpsed.
So he's not evil in a deliberate, malicious way. He's evil because he's a vain, ignorant fool. He literally doesn't know any better.
And that ignorance leads directly to what Gnostics call the great blasphemy. Yaldabaoth looks at the pathetic material world he's cobbled together, and he declares,
I am God, and there is no God but me.
and that line is a lightning bolt, because the Gnostics identify that as a direct quote from the Old Testament from the God of Israel.
That is just a staggering claim to make. They're saying the creator God of the Bible isn't the true God. He's this lesser, arrogant demon.
It's a total inversion. And they give him other names, too, just to drive the point home.
Right, like Sackless, the fool.
And Samael, the blind god. It completely undermines his authority from the get-go.
So then he creates his own little hierarchy. He meets with thoughtlessness and creates a bunch of other rulers, the archons.
And they build the structure of our reality, which the Gnostics saw as a prison. A really oppressive, claustrophobic one. You've got 7 celestial spheres above us.
The planets.
The planets, exactly.
Yeah.
And 5 depths of the abyss below. The whole thing is a cosmic jail built from ignorance.
Which brings us to a really critical Gnostic idea. The material world isn't evil because matter is evil.
No, that's the key. It's not that atoms are bad. The world is bad because it's an erroneous worldview made manifest. It's a physical representation of God's amnesia.
So the universe is less like a solid thing and more like a persistent hallucination, a bad dream that's only sustained by that little bit of stolen divine light.
That's a fantastic way to put it. It's a deficiency that only exists because true knowledge is absent. The moment you restore that knowledge, that gnosis, the whole thing just vanishes, like waking up from a nightmare. So now the prison is built, but the divine light is still trapped inside it. The higher realms, the pleroma, they have to hatch a rescue plan. And it involves tricking Yaldabaoth.
It starts with a reflection, right? They project this perfect image of the first man, which is really the image of the whole pleroma down onto the waters of Yaldabaoth's world.
And the Archon and his demons see this shining, perfect being, and they're just consumed with envy. They have to possess that power. So they decide to build a body for it, an atom.
According to the image of God and our own likeness.
But all they can make is an empty shell. It's psychic, but it's inanimate. So this is where the higher powers step in, but in disguise.
They pretend to be his own advisors.
Right. The 5 lights tell Yaldabaoth, hey, if you blow your spirit into the man's face, he'll come to life. And Yaldabaoth, being the blind god, doesn't realize he's about to breathe his mother's stolen power, his own life force, into this new being.
That is such a brilliant flip of the Genesis story. The creator's breath becomes an act of self-sabotage.
It's incredible. And the moment he does it, Adam's body shines with light. It becomes powerful. And crucially, Adam's understanding is now far greater than that of his creators. He's smarter than the God who made him.
So the demons panic. They've been tricked. And they throw Adam down into the lowest part of the material world to try and contain him. But he's not left totally alone.
No. Out of mercy, the Mother-Father sends a helper, a hidden spark, to make sure that light within him isn't lost forever.
And this is the figure of epinoia.
Creative conceptualization, or insight. You can think of her as the internal memory of where he came from. She's hidden inside Adam, whispering the great secret to him.
Which is?
The way up is the same as the way down. The path of his descent is the map for his ascent. Knowledge is the key.
But Yaldabaoth fights back. He makes Adam forgetful. He tries to pull epinoia out of him.
And in trying to remove her, he only manages to pull out a piece of her power.
Ah.
And that power forms the first woman, Eve. And in this version, Eve represents the mental capacity for insight.
This is where the story gets really, really dark. This is the ultimate trap.
Yes. The text is explicit. Yaldabaoth rapes the physical form of Eve. And from that violation, 2 archdemons are born, Elohim and Yahweh.
Who are described as having the face of a bear and a cat.
Yes. And this act establishes sexual intercourse, which becomes the Archon's main tool for control.
Why is reproduction the key to the prison?
Because every time it happens, a new material body is created. And the Gnostics call these bodies tombs. They're shells. And every time a new tomb is made, Yaldabaoth fills it with his artificial spirit ignorance, passion, desire, darkness. And that traps the divine spark, generation after generation. The prison rebuilds itself.
Okay, so we're trapped. The world is a prison, humanity is divine light stuck in tombs, and Yaldabaoth keeps the cycle going with ignorance and passion. The escape route comes through what they call the immovable race.
These are the true descendants of Adam's union with epinoia, with foreknowledge, the children of Seth.
And these children of Seth, they're not a specific tribe of people, are they?
No, not at all. It's a symbol for anyone who carries that latent capacity of the divine mind, anyone who is capable of waking up.
So salvation has nothing to do with following laws or making sacrifices or blind faith. It's all about gnosis, knowledge.
It's recollection, really. You are saved by remembering the origin myth itself. By tracing the story of how God fell and became trapped inside you, you get the exact map you need to go back up.
So our whole life is just A search party for the light that we already are.
That's it, exactly. And when the true Father is finally known, the deficiency, the material world, the prison, it just vanishes. It dissolves. It's an intellectual and spiritual purification that returns the soul from multiplicity back to unity.
And this whole idea is visualized so powerfully in the final part of the text, in the Providence hymn. Providence, which is that saving knowledge, sometimes it's identified with Jesus, descends into the deepest part of the underworld.
And the text is very clear about what that underworld is. The deepest part of the prison is the human body.
So Providence comes down into the tomb of the flesh, and on the third visit, there's this dramatic moment, a cry.
Providence cries out, "Anyone who hears, rise up from your deep sleep."
And the act of hearing that call is the moment of gnosis.
It is. The awakened soul is then sealed, protected from the lower archons. And death has no more power over them because they've realized their true, immortal, immaterial nature.
It's just a stunning vision of freedom. The Savior isn't an external person, it's an internal capacity of your own mind. And for all the darkness, the Gnostics were ultimately optimistic. They believed that eventually everyone gets saved.
So if you put this whole cosmic journey together, from the one all the way down into the human tomb, the fundamental Gnostic argument is this: human life is the state of the Godhead when God forgets who God is.
The history of the universe is actually just my autobiography, your autobiography.
Precisely. And so the quest for freedom has to be completely internal. Undiluted self-knowledge is the same thing as knowledge of God. And that's the one thing the archons, with their artificial spirit, can't touch.
The Gnostics really believed Yaldabaoth's prison was designed to distract us from that inner power. He uses desire for wealth, craving for pleasure, fear of death, all these facets of the artificial spirit.
All to keep us looking outward instead of inward.
Which really makes you think, doesn't it? Their prison was built of ignorance and passion for the flesh. Today, we live in a world that's just a fire hose of external data, distraction, and this relentless focus on material achievement, on status.
It's a different kind of prison.
Maybe. So what belief system, what modern goal do you think acts as the ultimate artificial spirit today? What's the main thing distracting you from that quiet inner search for divine self-knowledge? That's really the question the secret book of John leaves us with.